Hello, everyone. How you all doing? Welcome to another dirty episode of Three Men and a Podcast, a bi-weekly podcast. So I'm Claudio Capri. I'm from Dirty Four Podcast, from the Ange Tv Show. He has multiple shows like The Unknown and trying to find answers to his life. And then we also have Luigi from the Agree to Disagree show, where he asks guests burning political questions about why do Trudeau and Legault make out with each other
and fuck up everyone's life.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on Facebook, just head on to YouTube. There's a red square that says subscribe. Press the subscribe button, and bi-weekly you get episodes with amazing guests, and we just talk about men's mental health, how we're dealing with this pandemic, or what our plans are and how we're surviving, breakdowns. And girls, if you have questions about, why your significant other is acting this way, we're the people to answer that, because we're God's gift to heaven. So I just want to say there are only people here. We have Raul and Erica. Hello, everybody. Give a thumbs up. So, guys, are you ready for tonight's guest?
I am. Because I have a lot to discuss with him and with you guys this week. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners need to get a lot of stuff off their chest. So let's do it without further ado.
There we go. Oh, and Mel is here. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to bring my awesome buddy, Ac Valiante.
Hey, everybody.
There we go. The Ange clap.
So I just want to say thanks for having me on.
No problem,
Alex.
Oh, bye.
No problem. So, Alex, let's get into it right away. So, Alex, first of all, you're doing well, and second of all, how are you dealing with this pandemic? Like, how are you dealing? Like, what are things that are keeping you busy from not breaking down?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in this, but this pandemic's been pretty tough. I've been trying my best to keep myself busy. I've been watching a lot of Netflix. That's something that I've been really getting into. Like, I caught up on all the shows I wanted to watch before pandemic and more. I'm a big fan of anime, and I really have to say that Netflix really upped their game in the last couple of months with their anime. So I've been watching that too. I've been catching up on some reading. I started doing some exercise. Yeah, I know.
Something I have to start.
Yeah.
Nice.
Look, man, you're talking about health. You're talking about mental health, but I think physical health is really important too.
It is.
For
goes hand
mental
in
health,
hand.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and it obviously doesn't help that the gyms are closed, right, Alex?
Yeah, that's it.
We're not going to get into that because I don't want to get into the political aspect of this tonight. I want to see it more. I think we want to talk about on the level of what people are doing to try to help it, and also talk about your life experiences as well offhand. But Ange, Claudio, how are you guys doing? How was the last couple of weeks?
It's been really tough. But getting trying to be distracted. As Alex saying, just keep myself from not going crazy. But there are obviously some days of where it is going crazy, and trying to deal with it. There's not much more that I could do.
For me, guys, I find that the days of anxiety and being not motivated, it was more like a few months ago when everything really shut down completely. Then I was like, this is the second time this is happening completely. It's a year now. It's enough, But I don't know why, recently I had a little resurgence. The motivation is back. The anxiety is down. The being negative, I changed a couple things, like not to think negative. Try and pick and choose who you talk to, because certain people that you talk to, they bring you down, right?
For sure.
So you always want to stay with positive people. And I noticed that my mental health has been a lot better recently. But like I said, in the last few months, it's been like a roller coaster. Even in my relationship, at work, in general. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Ange, because I think I'm gonna have to start taking some of your advice, because as you know, off air, you and the three of us talk, and this last week there, I could honestly commit murder. I could honestly commit murder.
I see it, Luigi. I see it in you.
Just so I don't know, so angry.
I feel it in you, Luigi. I feel it in you.
It's like I don't even know how to deal with it anymore. It's just.
I know, Luigi, but at the end of the day, you need to just stop, drop everything, and saying, what is causing me to be angry like this? What is causing the anxiety? Recognize those things, And like I said, like we talk backstage all the time. We talk, me, you, Claudia, whatever. And, sometimes you could be very negative about like, I don't agree with this. I don't know. You have to agree to disagree, show. I understand.
Yeah, but
what I say is always have an open mind, right? And focus on what you're doing. The more you focus on other stuff, you know what I mean? It's going to get you behind on your own stuff, right? So that's a little like something I could throw in there. But.
That's some good advice, Alex. It looks like you
I have a question there.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't have to have kids, would you?
I do have kids.
Well, there you go.
So that, I mean, you don't have kids, right? But you do teach kids, right? Or because as you are a teacher as well, right, Alex?
Yeah. So I work as a substitute teacher, and I also do tutoring on the side as well. So I know. And one of my family members is actually a teacher as well, and she's been living with her like 12-year-old and 3-year-old, and it's been a bordel, to put it lightly. A bordel. Like the first couple of months was fine, and after a while, you get tired of dealing with the same 4 faces like every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. I mean, at least most of you, like, you have girlfriends or wives. I have my mom who's downstairs. She's 71 years old. I've been seeing that face over and over. I mean, I love my mom.
Claudio, I was gonna say something. Alex and I were gonna make you feel real bad there.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
But be careful. Be careful with what you wish for, right? Because when you lose a parent, well, you know what it is as well, right? No, I'll joking aside. No, it is a difficult. It's funny, Alex. To answer your question, yes, I do have kids, and they're 11 and 8, and they're not even really. I mean, they're at school. Thankfully, their school is still going. There's a few cases at their school, but they're the ones that lighten up my day and that make it worthwhile, right? And today they're home because of spring break, right? And my older son saw me just lose my shit, like, and I apologized to him after, and I just couldn't keep it in. He's looking, it's okay, Dad. I said, well, no, it's not okay. I wish you wouldn't have seen that, because I'm downstairs in my office and he was right next to me just playing video games or whatever. Wow. And I said, it's we talk about on the show a lot about how men should deal with stress and everything else that comes along with life, and it gets to a certain point you don't know what to do and how to let it out, and I just got pissed at a client because basically he made me work for nothing. That's not even here or there. And I just hung up with him. And I told the client, I said, I'm going to hang up with you now because I might say something that might get me fired. So I hung up with him. And then I just lost my shit. It's just because I have no other way of letting it out.
I honestly, I think the kids being home is like how do you say it? It pushed you to the edge now. You understand? Because that added stress now, right? Yeah. And also, I wanted to add something. I'm feeling this way because I don't have a mortgage. I don't have kids. I'm not married. You know what I mean, Luigi? I have a lot less things on my plate than you, right?
Yeah, keep rubbing it in his face, though.
No. I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just trying to make a comparison. I'm not trying to rub it in or anything. I'm just saying, right? Those are things you have to tend to, right?
Yes.
I have to tend to my bed. You know what I mean? So it's like, and work, but. And my girlfriend.
But
She's watching right now.
honestly, guys, I'm not gonna sit here and play the victim, because everyone has their trials and tribulations. It doesn't matter what it is. Everyone has their jobs or personal issues or whatever they're dealing with personally as well, friends or girlfriends or boyfriends, whatever. It's just that right now, what all of us are feeling is just amplified 1,000 times over, right? Because of what we're living. And this is what I was telling you guys also off air, is that I'm a very sociable person. I'm always, whether it be clients, friends from work, my friends from childhood, you guys, my podcast community, I would always see people, be surrounded by people, my cigar group guys, whatever. And so now not having that for me is literally torture.
Yeah.
It really
There's
is.
there's no release for you.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
No.
Yeah.
There is no escapism, let's put it that way. So that's
Well,
that's
I have
go
to
ahead,
say
Al.
that it's good that you have a good relationship with your kids, and that's something that you could look forward to, apart from the stress from work and all that other stuff,
Yes.
It's important. I think, and I think we're going to talk about this a bit more later, but like, I think family is something that you really have to appreciate during this time, even though they could be tough to deal with, it's just something that we have to appreciate.
Well, that's a great point. Like, how are you dealing with you live with who, Alex?
So I'm very fortunate. I live with my girlfriend.
Okay.
But I live on the same street as my parents. So my dad.
Okay.
So like typical Italian moves out of the parents, but to the same street.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting topic that you brought up, right? I mean, in terms of like, for example, Claudio and Angela live with their parents. Now that relationship is amplified literally 24/7 almost, right?
Yeah.
Maybe less in Angie's case, because he actually could go to work and escape. But like, how is that? That's an entirely other different, a different thing that we're looking at here.
Sorry, I just want to interrupt for a moment. So
Go ahead.
who are the three men and who is the guest? Well, you
Phil.
see Mr. Balabanos. As you can see, I'm Claudio. This is Luigi and this is Ange, and AC Valiante is the guest. And Phil Balabanos is he has his own show called Fill My Hole, which is on live every Sunday night at 8 p.m. He talks.
Interesting show.
Yeah, he talks about him and some other people, but Phil's a very nice guy, so go check him out. So Phil. So
by the
these
way,
are
if I may, Phil, thanks for watching. By the way, Phil, love your stuff on the Pantella show as well. Really, really good, really good. So guys, check it out if you can.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to this. No problem. So Alex, please continue with what you were saying.
I just want to say I appreciate the pun that Philip just made. Thanks for the whole plug.
that's for another show, right?
That's top quality right there.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
so just to get back back on track, Claudio and Ange, how are you finding that dynamic right now that you guys are that there is no escape, right? I mean, you go to work or you're at home, literally.
Listen, Luigi, it reminds me that we're all human, but it reminds me that there's rules, right? Like you don't, when you're always out with your girlfriend, sleeping at your girlfriend's house, working, you never see your parents, you come home, you eat, and then you go to bed. It's a different story. But when you're home all the time with them and you're literally fighting over who's going to watch Netflix, it reminds you that you're not alone. You don't have your privacy. That's the number one big
exactly.
issue.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the privacy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what it is. I mean, look, whether you're at home with your girlfriend or parents, or there's always going to be that, oh man. So, babe, what are you doing today? Same thing I fucking did yesterday. It just comes down to that because I know a lot of mutual friends who say the same thing. It's like, oh well, babe, I'm going to work, and then he goes on his Zoom, and then she goes, so what are you doing today? I'm like, the same fucking thing I did. So, and then the question is like, kivo manja, right? What do you want to eat tonight? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Same thing. Like, I don't know. Like for me, like I love food, but now it's at a point of where every single day is the same thing. I know, man. Like I don't know if it's with you, but for food, like, are you eating the same thing? Are you eating different things? Like, how are you handling? this pandemic at your place too.
What was that to Ange or to
Alex.
To you.
to me?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
so actually, it's funny you mentioned that. So like, I kind of decided that I would start to get back into shape as part of like I was part of the group of people that were like, yeah, pandemic's gonna be great. I'm gonna come out like with a six pack, you know, like. It started off as a joke because like so I have the comedy show called the Otaku Comedy Show, right?
Okay.
And I noticed there was a lot of anime on Netflix. I wanted to do a thing where I like did a One Punch Man workout, right? So like every day, it started off as a joke, like, oh, every day I would do 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and watch 10 hours of anime, right? So
Well, whatever works, man.
yeah, but then like I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do this for real. So after a couple of months, I was like, okay, you know what? I got into it. I started working out, and I've been like, be careful. I'm careful with what I'm eating, and I'm actually down 30 pounds since the beginning of the pandemic.
Wow, nice.
Bravo.
That's
Thank you.
impressive.
Thank
That
you.
deserves an Ange clap, actually.
Yeah. We love
you go.
motivation, self-confidence.
How did you? I mean, I guess the motivation is there because there's not much else to do with your time, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah.
Okay. So one thing that intrigued me that Claudio told me is that your background in working with children with disabilities. I wonder if we could have a discussion in regards to that. How just more focused on how the reaction is and educating people of dealing with kids with disabilities, and then I'll share my story as well.
Yeah. So, well, when it comes to educating people with special needs, that's a different story. So, like, I actually worked as a facilitator
Mhm.
at a summer camp, and so I worked with two organizations. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names. I guess like they're local Montreal organizations that are very big. And I was part of their team for like 11 years, and I had a lot of experience working with them. I also have a sister who has special needs, so she's on the autistic spectrum. So that was something that I lived through, and like it kind of made me who I am today, and it also influenced my decision to get into teaching. So so I mean, it's a different experience teaching and working with people with disabilities. Teaching, so like working with them is very, I mean, it's fun both ways, right?
Yeah.
Like I find that it's very fulfilling because what really kept me going for a very long time was that I felt like I was making a difference in their lives to a certain extent, like I was giving them the attention that they needed. I was trying to, like at a summer camp, it's really easy, you're just going there to have fun, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So like it really gave me a sense of fulfillment to do that. And then when I started doing substitute teaching, I actually started subbing at a school for people with special needs. I don't know if you know the Mackay Center, Philip E. Layton.
Yes.
I've done a lot of subbing at that school, those schools, and it's really great work. I really love working there, and like I'm just really happy. It's like, it's a really enriching experience. I feel like that's what.
Well,
Yeah.
for me, I the reason why I was intrigued by that is that I've always it hits close to home for me because my wife is a social worker, a trained social worker with a degree in social work, and she's also a facilitator at Galileo with for adults, a school for adults with special needs.
It's a great school.
It is a great school, and I've always said, I don't know how. Basically, I call my wife Mother Teresa. People like you as well, Alex. How she ended up with a pissed off banker. But my point is, what I wanted to say is that honestly, and I'm not just trying to shoot hot air here, is that this world thankfully has people like you and my wife and countless other people that take the time and dedication to work with with children or adults with special needs, and how important it is to recognize those people, because it is so rewarding. I see it. I see the love that these students have for her, for my wife, and I'm sure your students had for you, because you literally become their world, Alex. And correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the only one that gives them that attention, unadulterated attention, and not because the parents can't, just because the parents at a certain point get tired and they're overwhelmed, and so this is the reason why people like you are so important. So that's why I really wanted to put a highlight on that, and I appreciate that, and I thank you honestly, and for that. I think it's very, very important, and it's not talked about enough, the people behind these organizations, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, I just want to say, I want to comment on Victoria's comment there. You really miss the kids. Yeah, that's something I really miss about teaching. It's been a while since I've been working as a sub, and that's something I feel like it's really been missing in my life at the moment. Yeah, and I thank you for the recognition. It's something that it's something that more people should be doing. It doesn't take it does take a bit of effort in that regard, but I find that it's much more rewarding, just giving the time and attention. And it's just even if you're doing volunteer, or if you're just do a little bit, I think it's worth it. But I don't see working at a school for special needs as charity work. I see it as something that's just it's just a job. It's a job that's very important to have.
Absolutely.
I see it I would be teaching at any other school, right? And I think it's important to have that mentality. All students require that attention, the time and energy that teachers need to put into them. So
nice.
One thing I find interesting though, at school, when I was in school and everything, it's every single teacher I had, I remember their face, I remember their name. So it's just funny how when you go to school and everything, it's you'll remember your teachers till you die. You know what I mean? Just think of that for a second. They're gonna remember you till you die. It's not it's just an incredible thought to think of. The bond is just
the good and the bad, and even more so, I think, even more so with students with special needs as well, because like I said before, the demand, and you're seeing it even in regular schools today, that the kids that do have special needs, and now they're being associated in the same classrooms, and these teachers are asked to have big classrooms and then have a high percentage of those 20-30 students with special needs, and the ratios are just out of whack. And I really don't know, honestly, Alex. I don't know how I don't know how some teachers are doing it. My wife's cousin is a teacher, and there's some years she had a lot of special needs within her classroom, and she says she would literally I don't know how she did it, Alex. I don't know how these teachers are expected to do it, number one. And that's actually a great question, is do you agree with that integration in the same classroom?
That's a really good question. I'm kind of for it in a way. I think that I think that having people with disabilities in the classroom could be it could work. But I definitely see some challenges in that, teachers are not given enough resources to deal with it. They should be, if they're going to have more, if they're going to have people, if they're going to have more adapted programs, they're going to have to give teachers more to work with, right? Maybe make smaller classes so that teachers can give more attention to the students. Maybe help them come up with more resources, basically. That's how I would see it.
Okay.
Well,
Interesting.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry, Claudio.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was also, because I was going to ask a different question, but this topic is actually interesting, because I'm also trying to understand too. Because when I was in school, I was in the special ed class, right? From what I remember, they took me out of one or two classes, and they would put me in a class with a few other students. But now I'm wondering if it like so do they still have like those quote unquote study method classes, or is it everyone's part of one big class? That's what I want to know.
It's all integration now, Claudio. That's the thing. See,
Wow.
they changed it. There used to be special education or just classes with special needs or special education, whatever you want to call it. Now they're all in the same classroom. So my point, and without honestly playing, sounding mean or sounding, I'm just trying to say, is it taking away from the students? The teachers' capability of teaching the other students that are on another level of learning? Is it taken away from those students? And also vice versa, are the other kids with special needs getting enough attention? If there is no resource teacher within, like Alex just said, is there yeah, of course, integration equals budget cuts. Yeah, that, Victoria, unfortunately that's the sad case, especially in EMSB and English school boards. But we're not going to get into politics, because then I'm going to get nervous, and you know what happens when I get nervous? I'm going to get angry,
Flip the table.
and I'm going to start flipping tables, and I don't want to, because I want to make this
and his back is going to go out.
exactly. I want to make this a
PG.
productive conversation, especially when we have someone like Alex on the show. So to answer your question, Claudio, no, there's integration now, 100%. So
Okay.
Alex, like, I don't know, see it, both kids, both sets of children, I think, are paying the price because of this. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how the teachers are dealing with it, right? And it depends on the individual school, like the school's resources as well. So, yeah, every class is different, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard to really tell. Like, I'd say maybe, like, generally speaking, it's more difficult to handle that. But I mean, yeah, it's hard to really weigh in on this one way or the other.
Yeah,
You know, because I'm all for everybody, you know, get working together and getting along. And I think that everybody could benefit from having a range of abilities and experiences in a classroom. But it's also quite demanding for a teacher to expect a teacher to come up with like 15 different plans for, like, you know, IEPs and stuff like that. It's a lot of challenge. It's challenging because they have to do lesson planning, and when they're doing lesson planning, they're planning for the class, but they're also planning for the other students that have to adapt to it. So it's like you're lesson planning like 10 times or 15 times instead of like just once or twice.
Yeah.
So and that's by group. So each group has its own separate set of issues and challenges. So it's really like, yeah, teachers have their work cut out for them in this way.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Nice.
But you know, I'm looking at it as an example. My godson is now going to high school, and he's on the spectrum, the low level, but he's flourishing. He's doing well, and you know, is going to a regular high school, and he kept up, and he's done great. So. But I
That's
also know that he did have a shadow, right? So depending on the school system where you're at, and this was still in English, but in the North Shore, it depends on the resources as well that you have, right? Because, you know, you talk to my wife's cousin, and she has hardly no resources, resource teacher.
Okay.
So it's almost, it's unattainable. It's not realistic to put this and thrust this upon teachers and hope that it works. So my hat goes out to all the teachers out there. Go ahead, Ange.
I find it like really the government, it's too little too late for the government. You know, I'll give you an example, okay? I don't know if you guys heard about the murders in Saint Sophie, the two murders that went on a couple days ago. I think it was yesterday. That Legault actually said in his press conference for COVID, he said, "Oh, I can't believe in 2021 men still do that to women, the domestic violence, the this, the that." Why do you think that's happening? There's a reason why that's happening, because we're in a lockdown and people are losing their mind. So my point is, okay, you're waiting till kids fall in the crack and then they can't find the job, they can't go to a proper school. Then they have problems with friends, right? Because they're not at the same level, or maybe they fail the year and then they get made fun of. And then they develop these behaviors that lead to crime or violence or stuff like that. So it's like the government, I don't know, they decide that it's a problem once the guy's in jail. Like, you know what I mean? I just find it contradictory. So,
but that's classic, Angelo. That's classic government deflecting again. It's always when it's too late, right? It's always when it's happened and it's too late, and there's violence. Like it just started, right? Domestic violence just started, right? What do you think is going to be locking in people for a year? You think domestic violence is not going to go up? You think child abuse is not going to go up? You think just general violence is not going to go up? What the economy is going to continue doing well? Yeah, I'm sure. They live in another world, right? It was the same way. Here's a great example. Okay, did you know I was talking to a contractor that is an air conditioning contractor? You're gonna love this, guys. He was contracted by the government to put air conditioning in old folks' home.
Okay.
And do you know the amount of red tape that this guy had to go through just to do the work? Meaning that he would get on the phone. He says, "Guys, I have the units. What am I doing here?" He goes, "Luigi, I couldn't find somebody to tell me where to go and how to install and where to start." And he says, years of delays. Meanwhile, there's older people dying of heat exhaustion during heat waves in Quebec.
Yeah.
And these assholes can't even get their shit together to tell this guy where to go install these air conditioning units. When it's, again, too late. Again, same thing. How many of these old people died now it's a problem. Now there's a probe needed to how we're handling COVID within old folks' home. It's always when it's too late. That's classic. So it's not like, we shouldn't be surprised. Oh, yeah, now it's a problem. Overnight, it became a problem. Overnight.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sometimes.
I just want to stop and say, Victoria from Dirty Four movie trivia night. She says, "Yo, they're lucky. In some old folks' home, they have to pay a premium to get AC, and they're literally dying." Yeah, but that's
think about how sad that statement is, Victoria.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Think about how disgustingly pathetic that example is. That you have to pay a premium to have air conditioning in a first world country. Mind you, the way we're dealing with this, we feel like we're in a third world country lately, that you have to pay a premium for air conditioning that will literally save an old person's life. It's deplorable. I don't even.
It is.
Anyway.
So, don't be sorry, Victoria. You'll get. Don't worry. I'll get my revenge tomorrow night on a movie trivia night. And then Sunday. So, Alex, now I want to go. No, obviously, I want to focus a little bit about you. So, Alex, you did or do substitutes, right? You're dealing with kids, and you also do like stand-up comedy. So, how do you deal with that? Like, what's your process of your mental health? Like, what do you tell yourself before you teach or before you go on stage? How do you deal with that, and what do you tell yourself? Like,
okay, so that's an interesting question. So you're basically saying, like, how do I prepare myself to go on stage and to go in front of kids?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, well, it's almost the same, basically. I think the most important part is to be prepared. That's something that, and it's one of the virtues of teaching. It's like preparation, right? Or there's a quote that's like, failing to prepare is preparing to fail, right?
Yeah.
So I take the same approach to teaching as I do in comedy in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to know what I'm getting into. I like to know where I'm going. Yeah, and another thing is I just kind of I try to be myself, right? I don't, like, obviously when you're in a classroom it's different. Like, you have a certain set of expectations. You have like the correct, you have a material to cover, or like sometimes the teacher, like, I work as a sub, so like the teachers will give you material and you have to go over it, right? So like I'm not just gonna start ad-libbing and say, okay class, today we're gonna learn about I'm gonna teach you about the planets, today I'm going to teach you how to make cannolis. I don't know, like something. Like, no, it's so like that's different. But like in comedy, I like to know a little bit about the venue, like the crowds. I try to prepare myself before going in, and I'm kind of a nervous guy. Like, I like it doesn't look. I know it doesn't look like it, like, but like. There's an expression. It's like a duck a duck looks calm on the surface, but like underneath the feet are really paddling, right?
I like that one.
So like that's pretty much what's going on. I'm thinking of like all the things that could go wrong before going on. Yeah. So like once I've gone through all the possibilities, I'm like, okay, it's probably not going to be the worst case scenario, but at least I know what it's going to be like if it happens.
Okay,
that's awesome. That's always intrigued me, because I've always said this in my show as well, and I've told Claudio as well, as despite this anxiety and this fear, and I can't even imagine, like they say, right? I don't know what the percentage of the human beings they'd rather face death or something than actually perform live, right? Is that what they say? What's the saying? I'm thinking anyway. How do you get past that? I'll never get tired of asking this question, Alex. How do you get past that anxiety, that fear, and all the calculations of what could go wrong of you being on stage by yourself, bare and naked? How do you get past that? I don't know. I asked Claudio that question too when he was on my show, and it's always intrigued me.
I at that point, like I guess I part of my language here, but I operate with a philosophy of like fuck it. I just go up and whatever happens, que será, será. And I just do like I just kind of go for it, like
wow.
Like at that point I've already thought of like a lot of the problem, like the things that could go wrong. So but because I'm able to rationalize the fact that like it's probably not going to be that bad, it helps me overcome what actually happens. So
no, that's very interesting. And Alex, I want to bring up the point of what happened at Petit Grenouille. I'm not like,
oh my god,
I'm not gonna say. I mean, Alex, well, it's a funny story, but I don't want to get into it because I'm not sure if you want me to bring it up. But
I would love to talk about it.
Okay, okay, Alex.
Okay, here
Alex,
we go.
Yeah, go ahead, talk about it, please, because folks are watching. This is hilarious.
Do tell.
I pulled a Kelsey Grammer. I fell off stage.
No.
Yeah.
And then what also happened was I followed him, right? So,
yeah, and he fell on stage.
I felt
Okay, during your act, you fell off stage.
No. It was after my set. I did okay. My set was pretty good. But like at the there was this like the way the stage was set up is that it was very high up. And there was like this tiny little box to like step down on, and I'm a pretty big guy, so like that little milk carton box that was at the bottom, like it didn't stand a chance, right? Okay. So like I stepped down and I fucking lost my balance.
And was everybody laughing?
Well, it was like a mix of shock and laughter, like,
but then I was there. I was with a few other friends, like, look at Alex, you okay? And then everyone turns around, and all of a sudden you hear, boom! I'm like, what? And then I'm on stage, and my bad knee, I go bad knee first. So I get up, and as I'm doing my set, like my knee was hurting, so I was rubbing my knee, and for my set, I was being distracted because my freaking knee hurts. But it was hilarious, like that night, like Alex fell off stage and I fell on stage. I'm like, this is embarrassing, but it was fun though.
Yeah, he was getting onto the stage, and as he got on, he missed that milk carton step and like face planted on the stage.
Man, that was brutal.
Perfect karma, by the way. Perfect karma.
Yeah, that's true.
Alex, if it makes you feel any better, all right? If two rock stars like Dave Grohl and Bono could fall off stage, you could certainly fall off the stage, all right? Imagine they probably look cooler falling off the stage.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and Mike Camacho is going, a likely story you just want to throw in physical comedy for the sympathy vote. You know what, Mike? No, not really. Like we both didn't plan. We didn't call each other. Go, hey, bro, but you want to fall off the stage tonight? No.
That wasn't a conspiracy. No, okay.
No.
Claudio was like, I'll do you one better. I'll fall on the stage.
Exactly, Alex. I'll take the blame for this time. But it's tough. But honestly, no, it's and even like having your own show, right, Alex? Like the amount of stress that you and co-star Andrew Cardatz, who also co-runs the Otaku Comedy Show, like the amount, like how do you deal with that mental health, with that stress as well, having your own show?
Well, for one thing, like the show that we have is very niche. It relates to anime, right? So
Yeah.
it's not as, I mean, like nowadays it's getting more and more mainstream there, but like me and Andrew are like, we're huge weeps, right? We're really into anime, so we know our stuff, we know our content. So like one thing that we like to do is we actually meet up beforehand and rehearse our jokes. We'll practice our jokes. We'll shoot the shit, just try to like get our material out before, and like workshop it before we actually go up on stage and deliver it. So like I said before, prepare. It's
Yeah. Oh
it's
man.
it's really important. Yeah.
Oh wow. So so you and Andrew actually meet, huh? So
Yeah, we do
Kyle,
that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, wow, better than what I do. Kyle's just like, hey, you ready for tonight? Yeah. All right, bye. I'm like, so then I get there and he's like, so Claudio, you ready for the show? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay. I'm like, do you want to rehearse? He goes, no, you got this. I'm like, thanks, Kyle. Thanks. I could, yeah. Oh, Alicia Piccolino goes, hey guys, I just popped in, and she goes, who wants to study for me? I'm like, all right.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Alessa, you got it. Okay, you're gonna do very well, and you're not gonna end up like us three here, huh? You actually have a future.
Yeah. Trust me, you don't want to be stuck doing mortgages, okay?
You don't want to stuck being married and doing mortgages.
Would you stop?
Okay,
My wife might be watching this. Come on, bro.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to like.
What kind of a friend and co-host are you? Jesus. Already, we're gonna have to fire Ange tonight, and even
Oh
you.
yeah, sure. No.
I won't tell you why, because I'm not gonna say live on air. So let's forget about that.
What kind of senior correspondent are you?
Welcome to CNN and the senior correspondent Claudio B. Capri on the Unknown Show.
Yeah, a comedy guy for a mystery show.
Exactly. What better way to do that? No? So that's cool, Alex. So now that we know a little bit about you, but now like I want to know. So obviously, if things go bad, right? Like how do you deal with it, right? So you're having like a bad day, whether it's teaching or doing comedy or things not going your way. Like how do you deal with the negatives?
So like, yeah, okay, that's actually a good question. So I'm very lucky that I have a good support network. So if ever something goes wrong and I really feel like I can't deal with it myself, I'll reach out, and I'm not afraid to do that. That's so true. I live with my girlfriend, and I'm very fortunate in that way. So I have someone to talk to, unless it's something that she did that I'm not happy about.
You're on your own.
But even then, we still talk through our differences if ever we get anything. It's important to have that connection with other people, and especially nowadays with the whole pandemic thing. It's like that communication and that like contact. It's essential to keep your sanity, right? Like, so what I do when I have a bad day is I'm kind of an escapist. I like to like just relax, and like I watch a lot of YouTube, I watch Netflix, and I play video games. I do all the nerdy shit, right? And so like I do that, but like if I ever really need to talk to someone, I'll call up my dad. I'll talk to my girlfriend. I'll reach out to a couple of my friends. That's I think it's really important to do that.
Okay, awesome. Okay,
you know what? I can't overstate that. What Alex just said is, just one of my best friends called me today. He says, "Lo, how you doing?" He sensed it right away in my texts, and I said, "Shitty day." He goes, "You want to talk about it?" I said, "Sure." So let me vent, and I just vented, and you know what? He made me laugh. A couple of minutes later, I was like, "Okay, all right. Things could be worse. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree with what you both are saying. But I just want to point out, coming from someone who does have anxiety, for me, it's like there are days where I freak the fuck out of everything, and it's just for me, it's because it's like I'm at a point right now where even and again, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite, but try to understand where I'm going with this. Like for me, like what I need to do is if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, oh crap, like can can you help me? Like, for me, it's like, because I'm worried, I have anxiety, and I'm stressing. I'm like, oh crap, like, I'm always trying to not leech on, but just for me, it's like, oh wait, you know what? Let me ask you. Maybe like maybe you have the answer to my situation, right? But then when I would be talking, I'm like, no, you really don't. You really don't. So yeah, it's not personal, but it's just, for me, it's just that, like, I'm at a point right now where, for me, talking about it, yeah, it helps, but at the same time, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And another kicker I found out about anxiety, because you learn new things every day, is the fact that you repeat yourself as you're asking this, right? It's like, are you sure I don't have that? Are you sure I don't have that? All right. Oh man, guess what I had today? Are you sure about it? Just, I don't know what it is, but it just freaks me the F out. But the fact that you two, like, what you two are saying, that it's actually a good way of handling it, and it's really good.
Claudio, the thing is that sometimes, what Ange said before, what Alex said before, and what we're talking about is helping me, but sometimes you just need to hear it. You just need to hear it again and again and again. It's as simple as that. And yeah, I was gonna talk about Mike's comment, which is a great one. You will only truly know how well you are matched with your partner by going through this type of situation. That and hanging wallpaper, which is the litmus test for every relationship. If you could wallpaper together, you're golden.
Mike Gamache is a very, very awesome comedian, and he's an awesome guy.
Thanks, Mike. That's great.
Very wise.
I love you, Mike.
Very wise. It is. It's a huge test for relationships, has been talked about with me. And I'm married, and being in a relationship as a girlfriend and boyfriend with Ange, and these type of situations, no matter whatever the living relationship is, same thing for you, Alex, I'm sure, it poses, because it's not reality what we're living right now, right? So already a relationship is hard to begin with. Then you throw this, which is not reality, throw that in the mix, and you're supposed to make sense out of all this. Very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah, it is. And before we can, just, you can never, even like, mental health relationships, right? And again, everyone says it's the now part. It's the now that defies your relationship, right? Yeah. Which at the same time, I agree and disagree. But I'm like, all right, so but again, everyone deals with relationships in different ways. Right.
Yes.
But what I really don't like is the fact that, like, all right, people, this is what you have to do during your relationship. I'm like, yeah, that's how it works for you. But for again, but then there's also that difference of saying, there's a difference of saying, if you really want to succeed in this, you got to follow these steps. I'm like, all right. Yeah. So I think there's a difference between asking for opinion and people rubbing it in your face kind of thing.
If anybody tells you that these are the steps to take in anything, then they're fucking full of shit. There's no winning recipe of being in a relationship or being on your own or whatever it may be, or being successful in business. There's none of that. Doesn't exist. Anybody tells you these are the steps you got to take to be, fuck you. I don't need to hear a word from you. You're useless to me.
Yeah.
They're probably trying to sell you something. That's probably what they're trying to do.
Exactly.
It's like they say, every road leads to Rome, right? So
absolutely. And I'm a firm believer is that all the mistakes that you make in your life, me included, I've made so many, but it also gets you to where you're going also. Because if you don't learn how to fail, how the hell are you going to learn how to succeed in anything, whether it be a relationship, business, life, career, or anything of that nature?
Yeah,
humiliation makes you strong as well. So.
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of build on that though, like, and to kind of build on what Mike Gamache said, is that like, relationships can, like, they can grow apart during times of turmoil, but they can also grow stronger during times of turmoil. So if you learn how to handle something that's extremely stressful and you pull through it, then you guys are good. Like, you can handle pretty much anything afterwards, right? Like, and that's what I find. Like, that's what I find myself thinking lately. I've been like, like, I'm in a very fortunate situation where like I have a very strong relationship. I have someone that I can depend on, someone that I can talk to, and like I found that our relationship got deeper over the last year, over the pandemic. You know, like we went through a lot of shit. Like we really like, you know, tears and all. Like it was really rough for both of us. You know, ups and downs, right? Mostly downs, but like a lot of you know. But yeah, it like really deepens like the connection that you have with someone, because like you're living with them all the time. You have to be able to live with them, right? And like,
well, to
so,
build on what you just said, Alex, is so
Yeah.
true, because this is the reason why a lot of couples, in my opinion, don't do well once they start living together, or have the pressures of living together, paying rent or their own mortgage, or married, is because when things are good, right, everything is good. Nothing seems, you lose your job, doesn't matter, I'm living with my parents or whatever. But when you're on your own and you're faced with reality, that's when the reality of life interferes into the relationship.
yeah.
So
And
if you don't have those dilemmas or those hardships leading up to that, then once you get them, like, then the first little slightest thing, like, oh shit, okay, maybe we shouldn't be together, or whatever it may be.
And it's one of the reasons why I think you should live with your partner for a while before you actually decide to get married or go further, you know? So I feel like it's important to get to know your partner, like your partner in life, rather than like just like in small doses, right? So if you can live with your if you can live with your partner, then you're setting yourself up for success, at least in my opinion.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Claudio.
No,
Yeah.
I was also gonna add, right? So because a lot of people like, well, I mean, couples, they get together right away, right? Like after, like I know a few couples after 2 months, 3 months, they're together. But I think for me, especially when I was in a relationship, you know, I would have the magic number for me would be a year. You know, I want to see how years, and then you know, you like you go on vacation together, then you know, moving in. That's when the spark would begin, because someone told me this, and he goes, if you don't have any conflicts in your relationship, then you know it's gonna suck.
Yep.
You know? So I'm like, but here I was naive. I had my 3 ex-girlfriends like, yeah, everything's okay. All right, babe, how are you? Good. I'm like, all right, that's fantastic. All right. So and then like we had no conflict, but I'm like, wait, is this normal? Like maybe it was just me. I think it was me. Possibly it was me. No, it was me.
Likelihood it's you.
I'm like everything, like we're not having, like I was watching a lot of our close friends getting into arguments with their girlfriends. I'm like, huh. I never expected that. But then after that, you know, it bit me in the ass, and then I was going through some stuff too. I'm like, oh, so this is what it is. Fuck, like fighting all the time. Is this what it is? Now, and then your mental health gets stressed because you're worrying about work. You're going to school. You're going to do comedy. But then the back of your mind is like, man, it's like, why are we always arguing, you know? So that's the fact. But then, you know, when you move in together, you need to have that thing of, we're not on our honeymoon phase. This is, if we're going to be together, we're going to work together, you know? So that's where the amount of stress is coming from. Then also, you also got to add on, right? Like the toxic masculinity phase, right? So that's when you're asking, Alex, like, I want to ask you this, like, do you
love
believe,
that term, eh? You love that term.
You love toxic. You say it every episode.
I love
Every
it.
episode. Every episode.
I'm like, do you agree or disagree? I see what you did there, Louis. Yeah, do you agree or disagree in a toxic masculinity? Like where do you think it applies today, or is it all that mishmashed macho bullshit?
I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. Like, do I agree with toxic masculinity? Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Come on, Alex. We know the real answer.
I think it's definitely an issue that is prevalent in society today. But I feel like there's been steps towards improving those kinds of relationships and those kinds of mentalities. You know, like the fact that men are more open to expressing themselves now. The fact that you guys even have a podcast like this, you know, I think it's great. It gives guys an opportunity to really voice their opinions and their concerns.
Except Joey.
You know,
Stifling Peter. God damn. Funny thing is, sorry to cut you off. Peter Bowen would be the guy who drop kick everybody.
Alex was so eloquently discussing this, and then Peter just goes and ruined it.
Angry
Is that really Peter? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's Peter Bowen. Yeah.
You can't continue after that.
Oh my god. Oh, by the way, Alessia said, so we need to find Claudio someone then. That's the real issue here.
All right, all right. Listen, Alessia, this is three men.
Oh
We're
my
talking
God.
about our issues here. Okay, I'm thankful that I'm one of your top priorities of getting a girlfriend. Thank you, but this is men's talk, and I have issues. All right, so Alex, so please continue.
But I want to say, like, Claudio, okay, yeah, having a relationship is great, but like, it's not the end all be all to life.
Yeah,
Like, you don't have to be in a relationship to be living a fulfilling and, like, a
Thank
good
you.
life,
Thank you.
right? So, like, I mean, I'm grateful for what I have, but it's something that, like, I feel I consider myself lucky to have rather than like something I need to have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Very, very well said. Very well
yeah.
said.
So, like, I think there's some truth to the old adage of, like, you got to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Like, you need to be able to deal with to live with yourself before being healthy enough to, like,
Mhm.
have a relationship.
I've
So,
always
like,
said, if you're miserable alone, you're going to be miserable in a couple.
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Oh, no, it's really interesting what you're saying, but again, it all goes back to, like, this is, well, I guess, relationship or single, right? This pandemic has brought out the true color in people. I'm looking at you, Lugo. Like, it brings out your true self, right? And it's also the moment to work on yourself or to work on each other in a relationship.
Mhm.
I mean, like a couple, not sexually, people. So get your mind out of the gutter. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that now is the time. Now is the time. Like, whatever arguments you've been holding up, whatever grudges, like, now it's time to talk to everybody. And if you're with yourself, it's the time to say, you know what, I'm tired of just be doing less of myself. I want to do more. So this is the perfect opportunity. I mean, I find, and it helps with yourself mentally. It helps yourself, with people around you. But mind you, if you have anxiety or something, that's something you could try fixing on it, right? But there's no perfect way you could fix it except for the goals that you have set in mind.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Mike says a good point. There has been a misconception in regards to what is called toxic masculinity. I don't disagree it exists, but it's not as much a case of masculinity as it is of toxic assholeness. It can occur in both sexes, and though all sexual identities, be nice, be kind, be decent. So well said, Mike. It's and I was gonna say the same thing to that, because I know. Listen, I think women, no matter what, and I've spoken to this, women still prefer a man that could still take charge. They don't, contrary to what you guys actually think or people think, a woman doesn't like a man that is not assertive, that is not going to make a decision without saying, "Oh, babe, what do you think?" Like I said, contrary to belief, because I've known that relationships, marriages that are broken off because of men that are just sit there and hold their dicks and their balls in their hands and do nothing. Yes, babe, whatever you want, babe, and don't plan anything and don't do anything and just sit there and wait for the sun to shine. That's all they wait for. So if you want to call it toxic masculinity or masculinity, then that's fine, right? But you could be also that and also be, like Alex says, sensitive, not able to, being able to talk about your feelings and what's bothering you and what the meaning of life is or whatever the hell is. Listen, I'm lucky I'm married to a social worker. Okay, that's okay. I hit the jackpot. Let's be fair on that. But I think that you could be both. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, you're right. But then, there also comes a time where those two things, what you both are talking about, there's too much of that, right? There's too much of what you were saying, Louis, and there's too much of what Alex was saying. Because at one point they're gonna like I'll give you an example. Like I was young and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I was the type of guy going, "Yeah, babe," yeah, because in my mind I was like, I heard people telling me, "Listen, bro." If you want to have a happy relationship, all you got to do to your girlfriend is say yes to everything she wants to do, and you'll be okay. But the idiot that I was, I'm like, yeah, no, baby, if you wanna do that, that's what you wanna do. But now I understand what it means. Like, as you get older, it's like, yeah, you have to take charge, but at the same time, it's like, all right, yeah, sure, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, no, I don't think this is gonna happen. Like, there are places of where what they say, right? Like there's you have to put your foot on the ground. There are times where you have to put your foot on the ground. And other times, like, yeah, sure, or compromise, all right? So that's what I'm thinking about it. So, but again,
but that also could be, age maybe, or just life experience as well, right? Because as you get older, I'm 45, and I certainly don't look at life as I was when I was 35 or 25 or 15, right? So with every year you get wiser and things start to change the way you look at life and relationships and everything else in there. So yeah, Alicia says it's perfectly, self-love comes before united love. Love that.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah, and Victoria agrees. I mean, I would argue that women and people want someone who is self-actualized and not just mirroring their personality to yours. If the guy is assertive or not. I don't care if the guy is assertive or not. Well, very good. Very, very well said, Victoria.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear from the women their perspective.
It is. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. So, Alex, there's one other topic that I wanted to discuss with you, just because I think it's a very important in the context of what our podcast and show is about in terms of men's lifestyle and men's it is, and we've all, unfortunately, the four of us have all experienced this. So we lost Claudio, but that's fine. We've all experienced this in one shape or form. I lost my mom when I was 22 years old. You recently lost your mother about a year ago. My apology, my condolences for that. Ange recently lost his grandfather, and Claudio lost his dad. I'm not sure how many
years back.
A few years back as well. So what I wanted to, and again, share my story is, and maybe it was different for me because I was so young, but what is, the social norm and the expectation of how to deal with loss, and also the friends along with it and how they should deal with you. So, I remember being 22 years old when I lost my mom. I had just turned 22 in May, and she passed in June. So as I said off air, I was not equipped to deal with that, and neither were my friends that I've had the same friends since we were children, literally babies. They were neither equipped to deal with that, to help me deal with that. But what I found now, when I look back many, many years later as an adult, is just the fact of them being there was more than enough. And also just, I had this hard shell that I couldn't cry in front of them, until I think back when we were so young, and I remember my friends telling me, bro, man, it's okay to cry. You lost your mom. It's okay to cry. It's not normal that you're, and then I look back, and again, I said, it was probably just me, just, having already cried so much. I just couldn't cry anymore once she passed. Right. So, what I want, the whole goal of this again, going back to the show, is helping men and deal with their emotions, especially when it comes to such great loss like you've just recently gone through, Alex and Ange and Claudio, and as well me a few years back, is how dealing with that and just making the viewers and the people watching saying it's okay to just let yourself go and feel. So I don't know if you talk about that and dealing with loss in general.
Yeah, I think it's very important to be conscious of that. And nowadays, I mean, we're not alone in dealing with loss. Like pretty much everybody, or at least I'd say like a good portion of people nowadays are dealing with loss, or at least some kind of loss. you know, whether it's like the loss of a person in their lives or like the loss of part of their lives in general, right?
Mhm.
Like the pandemic it shook us in that way. Like we haven't been able to sustain those connections we have with our friends and our families as well as we would have pre-pandemic. So like we're all kind of dealing with that sort of loss, but like there are also people who've been affected by the pandemic directly in that like they got family members that got sick that ended up dying because of the virus and all that. So like it's something that we're all kind of like going through, and I think it's important to be able to have those networks. Like like when my mom passed, it was really difficult for me, because like I mean I was very close with my mom. We had I was a mama's boy, typical Italian mama's boy, you know. She taught me a lot about all kinds of stuff, you know. She taught me how to cook. She taught me she wasn't very like, she wasn't super educated, but she always pushed me to go hard, like to go further in school. And she taught me the importance of an education. So like that's something that I've always held very dearly to me. It's like part of why I'm a teacher, you know, why I decided to go into teaching. Like I'm very glad that I had the support of my family and friends during this time, because I don't know where I would have been without them, you know. So yeah.
Claudio, thank you for that, and I love the analogy about everyone is in a way is dealing with loss. I really like that the way you presented that as well. Claudio, how long ago did you lose your dad, and do you
So I was 29 when I lost my dad, and Alex, because we're in our friends group chat, I just messaged Alex, was also in the group chat, saying, "Oh, shit, my dad passed away," you know. And I remember Alex just like, "Oh shit, are you okay? Are you okay?" And like Alex and David, shout out also to David Vigliotti, and shout out to Mike Gamache, and to like almost everyone who's been following me in comedy. I've been reaching out saying, "Oh shit, my dad died." But to be honest with you, I kind of had that, he's dead, because he's been suffering since 2010. And like, my dad, like, he had Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and I mean, that's all he had. But then just watching him just deteriorate, because my dad was a loud man. Like, he was a teacher, and then he was in the cadets, and just seeing my dad just being, before when I was very young, seeing him being active and doing stuff, working, and you know, my dad was a stay-at-home dad. Like, he was the one who was taking care of me, while my two other sisters were, you know, already older, like they knew what they were doing. But you know, my dad was always like, you know, like, and I'm grateful for this. It's like, where's Claudio? Claudio's got to do this. Claudio, like, even like when he was going through his state, he was saying, where's Claudio? Like, you know, and then his like last words, like, because he had, you know, trouble talking, he told my mom, was like, "Oh, make sure Claudio's okay," you know. So to me, it's like, I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. Like, you know, look, it's life, right? My dad died way too soon for me. In my eyes, he died way too soon. But my dad always told me, you know, do whatever makes you happy. You know, obviously get a job, put food on the table. If you want to go into film, I didn't, because he didn't understand. I couldn't tell him, hey, I'm doing comedy, because his mind was not there. But honestly, when my dad died that weekend, I had an offbeat show. Alex, I think you were there too. Like, I had an offbeat comedy show.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had two choices. Either I stay at home and cry, because my mom, I forget, like, most of my family are all calling my mom. All right, well, F you guys. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I told my mom, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stand around and cry, because I already did all my crying, you know. So I went to the show and I did good. Then when it was time to bury my dad, I didn't share one tear, because I'm like, I already shared it when he was deteriorating, when I was watching him going through what he was doing. So for me, in a way, his funeral, I'm like, I'm at peace with my dad. I'm at peace that he's going where he has to go. And and I still have a picture of him in my house, and I'm like, and then my mom gets mad at me. She goes, "Oh, how come you're not coming to see that cemetery?" I'm like, "No, because I have a picture right here. I don't want to go to the funeral. Like, I don't want to go to the cemetery. I see that right here." And I just kiss this picture like almost every single day, like, and that's it. And again, it's all about how we deal. Like, each person is different, right?
Yeah.
So whether you cry or not, that's entirely up to you. Like, I know people who cry during the funeral, or who cry after, or who cried before. But it's just, we all have to go through it. And for me, like, I was going through it because I'm like, if I stop now, I know I'm not gonna, make my dad happy. So that's why I always have this concept of, I gotta work and do comedy, because, it's not only that I don't want to be a failure to him, but I want to, continue this, because I promised him I'm gonna work and do what I want. So to answer your question, that's what I'm feeling. Do I feel sad? Absolutely. Do I feel happy? Well, you know what? I feel happy because he's watching me, but now during the pandemic, it took me out of proportion. But I'm someone who's actually, like, I'm always on the go, so not being on the go now, it's hitting me. But we just have to get back on track and continue life, as they say.
I think so many things. Thanks for sharing with that. I think so many things could be taken from there. Is the great advice from your father, and me being a parent is, doing what you love in life. Yes, you have to provide, of course, but doing what you want in life and what you love, and also what I think is very important to think about is that you should not be afraid to keep yourself busy, but also, like Alex said off air, and myself too, and I left school because I just couldn't concentrate at the time when my mom was sick, is also taking time for yourself too, and just not doing anything, and just taking that proper time to grieve, or in your own way. So I think it's important. You could do that, or you could engulf yourself in work or stuff that makes you happy. I think that's an important thing that I take from what you just said, Claudio, as well. And you too, it was recent. You lost your grandfather. I know that he was very important in your life.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
Well, to be honest, it's funny because my grandfather, like I said, he's been around my whole life, all 28 years of my existence, and he wasn't sick at all. Like, he's had health issues maybe in the last 2-3 months. So, and it was just like, like, okay, like he was all there, like he was walking. It's not like he had the cancer or Parkinson's, whatever. He was a healthy guy his whole life. This guy was an ox. He would drink wine every day. Like they make their wine. He would be strong. To me, it's a shock that he's gone. I still can't believe it. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, he's gone?
Yeah.
It's like, it's sad because the guy was always smiling, was so happy. He never kept a grudge with anybody. I never heard him talk bad about a fly. Okay, this guy, like he was loved. That's what you have to remember. He was a loved guy, and he loved to live. And also, when I was at the funeral home, I said, I don't think I'm gonna cry because like, I'm a grown ass man. I don't want to show people that I'm weak because that's the stereotype. When you cry as a man, it means you show weakness. So, but you know what though? When we were closing the casket and everything, we were saying our last goodbye. I broke down, So and you know what? It felt good because I was holding a lot of things in from the pandemic, with my relationship, work, with YouTube. It's not easy to be a YouTuber. You get a lot of criticism. You get haters, trolls, blah, 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 whatever, all that stuff that does take you down. So in a way, I let go from my grandfather, but I also let go of my insecurities. You understand? So it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, that's very well said, Ange. And you can't because I've seen the ramifications of holding shit back and not letting it out. And trust me, guys, it's not pretty, man. It's not pretty. Because when you hold shit in back and you hold in hate and you hold in anger and you hold in whatever you're holding in, that will literally eat you from the inside out. So guys, do not hesitate. Let it out. Do it. Cry when you have to. Get angry when you have to. Just let it out. Speak to someone when you need to speak to someone. And wow, I love these stories that we shared, honestly, guys, because seeing different perspectives and how we each dealt with it, and we took out of it, all of us, and I tried to take out a little bit of each of those things, those stories is quite something. And celebrate the life he lived and showed you. He will live on as long as you and all your family remember him. Absolutely. And I think that could be the same for our dads and my mom as well. So on that note, I really hope that us literally burying our souls on these podcasts, because this is only episode 3, and I think I just hope it does help, even if it helps one person. And I think, judging from our first podcast and maybe from this one already in the comments, I hope it does the same for other people.
No, it does. Ah, man, but only time will tell, right? Time will tell, like, when everything's gonna be back. But it's just, I don't know. I'm just at a loss for words right now.
Fingers crossed.
A loss for words, because we just bared our souls. But
exactly.
Yeah.
So
No, I think you see what you did to us, Alex. You see what you did to us tonight.
I'm so sorry.
No, not at all. Like I said, these are group therapy sessions. I've always said in my podcast, our podcasts are like therapy, because after we finish it, we do feel better. And I hope everyone watching and listening feel the same. So honestly, Alex, I'll be the first to say thank you so much for being on the show. Truly appreciate it. And then I commend you. Thank you again. I wish you luck. I hope you get back to teaching soon. And stand up. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna watch you and Ange.
I told you he was an intelligent man.
Yes. Thanks again, Alex. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I thank you guys for having me on. It's really been a pleasure, and talking about these things is. I think it's important for it was very good for me, but also like it's good for all of us to really think about these things. So I just want to say thanks for the opportunity for that. I really appreciate it.
no problem, Alex. So we're doing our plugin. So is there any place people could find you? Like you're like, so when you come back to stand up, is there anywhere people could come and catch you? Like where can people find you?
Well, right now I'm mostly sitting on my couch watching Netflix. But apart from that, I don't know. I mean, we haven't done anything in a while, comedy show wise. But as soon as things start going like opening up again and like going back, like we're gonna have a big show. We're gonna push really hard and we're gonna get something. So stay tuned for that. Otaku Comedy Show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, and we're going to end this really short. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom here, I put links to Luigi's show, the Ange show, and Dirty 4. So if you love us here, ladies and gentlemen, just watch our other podcasts. If you didn't subscribe here, go ahead and do so, because every bi-weekly, this is us. We're just us three stooges just pouring out our souls, because we're living in a tough time and we bring on amazing guests. And tonight was Ac Valiante. Alex, again, from bottom of my heart, bro, thank you very much for doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back here in 2 Wednesdays. Right? Yeah, bi-weekly. Yeah, 2 Wednesdays. And we're going to be having another awesome podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, follow the links below. Click them. Tomorrow night, Louis has a show with Captain YOLO. Ange is going to be having his own show tomorrow. And then Sunday night on Dirty 4, I have Victoria, Peter, and I, and Joey LaFlamme. We have an actress, Brittany Drisdale. She's a local Canadian actress. So we're going to be talking movies with her. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part where we sign off. Have a good night.
Take care, guys.
Things are going to get back to normal.
Thanks again. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Subscribe if you didn't.